Roll for Crit is taking a magical journey today as we give you our Kickstarter preview of Dice Upon a Time from Corona Games, a game that takes place in the setting of Grimm's fairy tales, the classic ones that you know and love, Snow White, Little Red Riding Hood, and those are the characters that people will be playing as. You will be traveling around this board trying to collect the most adventure points. The main way that you're going to be doing that is through these quests. They will give you between 2 and 4 points, and each quest varies in terms of its complexity from simplest to hardest to accomplish. They will require you to do things such as visit different locations, and once you go there, you get the points, and that's it. That would be the sea monster guy down here. For sometimes you may need to go to a location and receive an item, then take that item to another location. Again, the sea monster. I guess you're killing it with this sword over here. And sometimes you may need to gather certain resources and turn them in to different people, or it could even be just wherever you happen to be at that time.
The main way you'll be doing this, if you haven't guessed from the title, is through dice. At the start of your turn, you will roll all the dice you have, and you can do the following things with them. You can A, put them on a location so you can travel from point A to point B, making sure to match or a higher number that is present there. Or you can use them in the corners, which are these spirit animals. They give special effects, sometimes immediate, such as the wolf, which steals a die from everyone. Or at the end of the round, which is like these, which the highest number showing is the person who gets it. So right now green is winning the rabbit, but as in moving as well, you can actually stack on top of other people's dice. Though there is a max of 3. And whoever's on top in the corners wins that space. In addition, there are some special symbols. They do count as 6s in terms of numbering, so you can use them like that, but they trigger alternate effects. You have this potion bottle, which just gives you a nice magical item, which are pretty much give you an advantage and will say like when someone tries to do something or when you do something, reveal it. You have this storybook icon, which also triggers at certain places, which give you storybook cards. They are either good or bad luck. Either bad luck having to be usually helpful of opponents or giving you negative points. The good ones either letting you draw things or give you positive points, possibly. Then there's the double token, which if you use it to move into a space, such as this space that gives gold coins, you get 2 resources instead of 1. Finally, there's the band die. This can actually be used to sort of lock in a spot. If I put it on this space here, no one can stack on top of that except for you. So that's a good way to sort of lock a space in if you know either you don't want anyone else to take it from you or you don't want to let anyone pass that point.
Sometimes you do have special abilities that may let you get around some of those things. Each character has once per chapter a special unique power that they can use that might let you, like we said, bypass higher dice with a lower die, to change the way you get resources, change the way you interact with quests and things. So everyone has that going on for them.
But that is basically it. You go through 6 chapters, running around the board using the dice as best you can without your opponents trying to outwit you by covering your die, and get the most adventure points. I was about to say action points.
No, they're adventure points, my friends. Yeah, and that is it. And all those are face up, your quest cards. So you're always going to know, looking around the table, who has what points and what they're trying to achieve as well. So that's something you might, try to work around and try to stop people from getting the resources they need. Or you can also figure out, oh, they have this many points, I have this many points. How much do I need to beat them?
What's really interesting is the dice stacking mechanic, because what happens is, depending on your order, you can see like how many dice you'll have left, what your opponents will have. So you may roll something, for example, like this green player. We'll just keep that. These are in essence 6s, so they're good. But he also has a 1, which in terms of placing on the map, I don't think there's even a single spot you can use the 1 for, ignoring using a special ability. So he might want to try to use it for the wolf, but he might want to wait near the end so people like sort of have their last die and that's when he wolves them. He could try to place it here to make sure he gets first or get the snake, which gives an extra die. But if he's the first to place there, someone might be like, yeah, I'm not letting you have that.
Right.
So there's a whole mind game of how do I use my dice best without my opponent outwitting me or making a die useless.
Yeah, you're really trying to think of what's my opportune moment to do what, and like you said, based on other people, like, oh, I want to wait for them to use their good dice. It also can have a big impact just on the board itself, where, for instance, this king over here is a great spot because he lets you get more quest cards, but there's only one way in and out of there. So if you go there, you do run the risk of being potentially locked in, because if there's 3 dice, or maybe there's only 2 dice, but you don't have a number high enough to get out of there, then you're stuck using these, or hopefully maybe you have a magic item or something that will help you get out of there. There's also these horse symbols around the board, and those are basically you can teleport from one steed to another, so that's a way to get around quickly, because some of the locations, have special abilities. Some of them don't do anything by themselves. They're strictly about these quest cards.
Yeah, because sometimes you may get a quest that requires you to, as you showed, visit the swordsman over here, or the knight, I guess he might be, and then all the way to the sea serpent, which is across the board. But the teleporting can really help in that case.
Yeah. What this game reminded me a little bit of was Tales of the Arabian Nights, a game that we really like. Not in the narrative aspect. There's not really, even though it's story-based, there's not really any storytelling, but just in the way that game kind of looks and feels, traveling around the board, doing quests, it's definitely a very simplified kind of version.
I will say I think there's a bit more player interaction in this one compared to Tales.
Yeah, you are often directly with those dice, maybe blocking each other off. If you're on the same space with people, you can also actually trade things with them, items and cards. So in games with larger players, you may want to team up with someone to try to stop someone else. But I think this is a pretty good option potentially if you are playing with kids, family members, younger players. There's enough interesting stuff going on with this dice placement mechanic, but it is simple enough that a kid can play it, and obviously the theme is appealing for kids as well.
Yeah, luckily most of the quests, very simple. It's either get 2 or 3 of those tokens and bring it here, or go there, and even these, that's just -1 point unless you visit the serpent. So it's nothing too, I think, crazy for a kid to understand.
Yeah, and it's not super cutthroat, but it's competitive enough that you are you can get into it. You can get into some fights while you're playing if you want to.
Yes, I did enjoy locking Jonathan in the king spot.
Yeah, it was rough. It's rough over there. So if you're interested in that kind of dice mechanic, and this is a game, the theme that appeals to you, maybe you have kids, a good family game, you may want to look at Dice Upon a Time. If you go to the campaign page, you will also see that this is just a prototype copy. There are upgraded components, including minis that replace these little standees.
It's a Kickstarter. You got to have minis.
Yeah, you're going to have minis. You may have other stretch goals and things, so you can check that out for more information and to potentially back it. We will have the link to that in our description below, as we always do.
But until then, I'm Prince Will.
And I am Sir Jonathan.
And this has been a Roll for Crit preview.